Good morning. This is Pete Duranzio from PD Programming with another magic charm for Crash Magic Online software. And what we're going to cover today is the importing of XML files from your data source, be it your police department or state DOT, into Crash Magic Online. And this is the manual method. There are other ways to do it. This is how you do it through our user interface. So first off, I'll mention that we do have a knowledge base that includes this information. And that's located here. If you're on the governmenttools.com website and you click on Online Knowledge Base, you can search for Import XML. And you'll find a list of a few items there. The one you're looking for is one that says Importing New Crash Data XML. And if you select that, you'll find a full description along with screen captures of the entire process. All right, not really that long, pretty straightforward process. So I'm going to go through those steps right now, and we'll see how that all works. So the configuration that I'm going to use today is Iowa DOT. They're one of our clients that does bring in their data using XML files. So to get started, you were probably provided with a directory full of XML files. Perhaps you were provided with an XML file. Let's see what this looks like. So here is, on the right side here, a directory, and there's a name for that that looks like it's telling me the date it was created and perhaps the data that's in it. I'm going to go look inside, and the first step of the process is to zip your files. You need to upload these files in a zip. So what I'm going to do, well, I'll show you first. One possible thing you might try to do is to just right-click and select Send to and zip this folder. And there's a small problem with that. When I've done this and I've created this zip file, you'll notice that it creates a folder inside of it. We can't, Crash Magic can't handle that. So you need to actually create the zip to have only the XML files inside of it. So I'm going to delete that zip, and I'm going to go inside to the actual XML files. I'm going to highlight them all, and I can use Shift or Control to select them all. I'm going to click on one of them, and I'm going to send those to our compressed zipped folder. It prompts me, you'll notice, to give it a name, and it's usually a good idea, otherwise the name it's going to give will match the name of the last file you clicked on to zip, the one above it there. So I'm going to give this the name that looks like the original creator of the XML file is intended, which is 2018.0328. Okay, so now I've got a zip file, and you notice inside of it are just files, no folders, and that's our intent. So now I've got a file to upload, and this is the file I'm going to be using. I no longer need these XML files, and I no longer need any of those other directories. I'll leave them there for right now, though. So the next step is I come over to the program, and I'll log in to Iowa DOT. And the easiest way to do this is to just click on Show Advanced Options. You do need to be an administrator to add data to the program to do an import. So I'll click on Group Administrator, and I am a group administrator to the group. And I'll log into the system, and then what I want to look for is my user group name on the system. So it looks like that's already selected for me, but let's just show you about the different user groups in here. So I'm going to close up the content of each of them. So really what you have here, you'll always have a master. You may or may not have another group in there that relates to you somehow, and then you'll have your actual user group, and that's you. That's going to be your state, and then your agency name. In this case, it's DOT. It might be a city name. I'm going to click on that. And the result of selecting that is I get this screen that, among other things, includes an Import XML Data Tab. There's also a Convert Data to XML, different topic. That's for preparing these files as XML. We already know we have them as XML, so we're just going to go straight to the Import XML Data Tab. So when I select this, there are a few pieces to this screen. We'll just go top to bottom here. So the first thing we have to do is we have to choose our XML to DB definition. And if I look at this, there's a few in here. And the one that you want is typically should be fairly self-descriptive. It should describe the system it's coming from, whether it's your police department, your state data source, whatever the name of the system is, hopefully is included here. In this case, the data is coming from a system called Saver. And so I'm going to click Saver XML to DB. And hopefully no files appear here. If you have any files that appear here, that means there were already some waiting to be imported, and you'll want to address those before you move on. Down below, it says select a zip containing the XML files to add to the queue. Handy. I'm going to click on Browse. And where I want to look is in this directory that I just created that zip file in. So I'm going to copy that, paste that up here, and now I will see, this is the same directory here, my zip file. So I choose my zip and I select Open, and now I have the zip that I just created in there. And I'm going to upload. I just click this Upload button here, and that'll upload the file, and then it will unzip all of the files inside of it. And you'll get a message, and it's a good idea to read this. It says file upload and unzip complete. There were 3 files in the zip. There are now 3 files in the import directory, of which 3 are suitable for import. Those are all good numbers. Every time you see that 3, you're talking about the 3 different files that were inside the zip that are available. If you think you uploaded 3 or 12 or what have you files, and this thing says 0 or there were no XML files, there may be a problem. For example, if you had chosen to zip the folder as opposed to the XML files, that would occur. It would say there were no files in here. It also says this XML to DB importer is expecting XML files. So that's what it's also counting for you, is saying, if you tried to send some DBF files or some text files, it's not going to like those. So you say, okay. And now you'll notice you have files in your import queue. You have these 3. In this case, we're dealing with the months of the year. So this is 2018 data. It's currently March. And so these are January, February, and March data files. All I need to do here is click on Begin Processing. And it says Import started. 3 files to process. Please return to this screen to see import progress. So I'll select OK. And what's happening now is it's preparing to do that import. And there are a number of steps that have to occur for it to do the import. It's going to load any streets that might be in your database so that it knows which ones it needs to add and so forth. It'll do a bunch of stuff. But the nice part is this has already started as a background process. That's why it said you can come back to the screen to see the progress. I can actually log out, walk away from the system. I can even do analysis on the system. Other users can do analysis. It's functioning in the background. So I can leave my screen here, I can go wherever I'd like, and when I'm ready, I can come back and see if the process has completed. So I'll do that. I'm going to click on my Crash Magic Hosted again. We're actually doing this on the live server because we actually had a request to import this data, so we're doing this exactly the way you would be doing it if you were hosted on our server. Go back to my advanced options here, click on Group Admin the same way I did before. And of course, leaving the program is not a necessary part of the steps. I'm merely demonstrating that you can leave the program. You can also just stay on that same screen and watch it complete. There is a decent amount of data in there, so I'm expecting this will take a little while to process, but we'll go back in the same way. We click on the user group name, in this case Iowa@DOT, and I'll go back to my XML data screen. I don't see any files here, but if I select my saver to XMLDB, I now see my 3 files. And this is telling me that my crash data import is occurring. It's 21% completed. It started at just about noon, and there are no errors so far, and it's processing 720 records per minute. This button here allows me to refresh without having to refresh the entire page. I can just click this button, and you'll see it jumps up to 27%, 28%, and so forth. And that will continue processing. Now, you'll notice down in this list here, these are all prior imports. So as an import completes, I'll click on one that completed on February 14th. Now, note that Iowa has a lot of files to import, a lot of tables to import into, so there's a lot of different parts of the import. In most cases, you'll just have 3 items here. You'll just have your crashes, your units, and your persons, typically. If you have a larger database, a more complex database, you'll have something more like this. So this is telling me processing complete. Processing was completed on February 14th at 8:33, and it told me how many records of each type, how many rows of each type were brought in. Each one of these is another import that occurred on a different day. Our current import says no summary available. Summaries are posted after completion, which is mostly true, but actually you'll note after about 5 minutes, it'll start posting partial summaries. It'll tell you what it's done so far. So if you have a long import and you come back here, you'll be able to actually see what it's been doing up to that point. And that's all there is to importing. Once the import is complete, you can go ahead and use all of the data. Until then, you can just use the data that's already been in your system. So I'm going to log out, and that is really the end of the process. Your import will just continue to run until it's complete, and then you're on your way. Thanks for attending this Crash Magic Charm, and see our YouTube channel, which is listed on Government Tools here. It says videos, where we have a whole bunch of more charms and other trainings available to help you learn the program. All right, this has been Pete Duranzio for PD Programming. Have a great day.